We're brought to you by the good people at Cars for Kids. Detroit Grand Prix weekend well underway. Races today and tomorrow in downtown Detroit. How about White Sox shutting off the Tigers 3-0? Tigers had a Reese Olson's big league debut. Didn't allow a hit until the sixth. Allows 2 runs on 2 hits in 5 innings. Michael Lorenzen today against Dylan Cease. 2:10 first pitch right here on 97. The ticket. Kudos to the Tigers' Alex Lang, named AL Relief Pitcher of the Month. How about 6 years, $78.5 million, the biggest deal ever given to an NBA coach? That goes to Monty Williams to coach the Pistons. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1 tonight. Florida in Vegas, Game 2 of the NBA Finals tomorrow. Make that Sunday, excuse me. Phoenix Suns owner Matt Ishbia says no more, ending his name, image, and likeness deal with Michigan State, and Churchill Downs suspending racing through June, while it investigates safety protocol for horses after many recent deaths and injuries. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, the wonderful Becky Alley.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. It is a beautiful Saturday, and we're going to talk about mortgages and real estate.
Becky, we jam it here no matter what, but of course, extra special show bringing in Cameron Boutros from Anthony John Luxury Real Estate Team. Cameron, I don't even have to tell you about that sugary cookie we were just chowing down. You already got enough energy, but welcome to our show.
Great to be here. Thank you, and welcome.
All right. Hey, man, there's no doubt about it. When you are putting your real estate team together, you got to have the best professionals, and that's what we put together for you today. Again, just 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. There's a lot happening all over Metro Detroit. We got that thing called the Detroit Grand Prix. It is awesome, talking with a lot of folks that got down there. I don't know. I think I'm going to be a TV guy on that one, but because the lake is going to be calling my name here. Becky, what a wonderful week. It's been unbelievable. We're not even at summer yet.
I know, but I think it's really cool that they brought it back to the streets of Detroit, taking it to the school, old school like it was. Like, how long has it been since it was like driving around in Detroit? I mean, it's been like a long time. I'm not even like 50 years. I don't know.
31 years or so.
31 years. Yeah, I think it's really
years.
cool. So if you're down in Detroit, have a great time, be safe. And then it's also Ferndale Pride. So I'll remind everyone, I'm going to be 9 Mile today. Check it out. Come say hi. It's Ferndale Pride, and we're excited to be there. All
sorts of goodies down there, and some swag and some food, and just a lot of good vibes out there. And that's what it's really all about, Cameron. We always brag about this great area we live in. Just multicultural, so many different things we have to offer, whether it be food, housing. We have it all here. We have the lakes, we have the golf courses. And no doubt you and I were already diving in outside talking about all these things that first buyers need to really get ahead of in today's tough market.
Right. First buyers need every advantage they can get, right? But also at the same time, I preach this, the new buyers and first-time home buyers, they're the new pathway for this industry, right? So we went through a huge refi boom, right? And everybody who refied is kind of sitting on their hands. Why do they want to sell when I'm at 2.5% interest, right? So the new cycle of real estate wave that's going to change this industry, okay, that's going to be first-time home buyers. Okay, first-time home buyers, they're tech savvy. They're all over social media.
Yep.
They represent you if you do a great job, and they will remember you.
Oh, yeah.
So this is who you want to take care of. And the most important thing I can say about first-time home buyers is have a fantastic relationship with your real estate agent and your lender. Make sure they both can work together. Make sure they have history together, and make sure they can represent you as the best buyer that they've got when it comes to a multi-offer table. They both need to speak to your case.
I've said that quite a bit about, of course, we want you to come to Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. But we have some great people here locally. There's no reason anybody shopping for a mortgage would even want to deal with an out-of-state lender. And the reason why, they're sort of strangers. I mean, again, if you have your beck and call person, if it's your cousin and he's in California, and he's going to answer that phone, again, 3-hour time difference, if he's going to answer the phone and give that confidence, did he really run your file through approved eligible? Did you take the MSHDA class? Are you set up for the best possible offer? And that's what we were talking about in the hallway, Becky. You know, again, FHA, greatest loan out there, 3.5% down. You can have some lower credit scores, all the advantages. But if you can get a conventional loan, it just has a little bit better presentation. Maybe we can squeak into that conventional loan by really dealing with the right lender and getting that approval ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not cookie cutter, right? What you're talking about. You have to start the conversation ahead of time because everyone's situation is completely unique. And you could be a 680, you could have a 680 FICO score and you could go either way. You could be technically a conventional buyer or you could be an FHA buyer, but the interest rate on a 680 credit score might not be as favorable as if you're going the FHA transaction. So then the sooner you start the conversation, though, that allows us at Capital Mortgage Funding, because we take a lot of pride in it, to maybe identify what are maybe one or two things that you can do to maybe bump yourself up to a 720 while you're out house shopping with Cameron, while you're out looking at these homes, to make sure that we're getting you in a favorable position once you do get terms of a home that's going to be the one for you, right? Because every home is different, every financial situation is different. But FHA there's nothing wrong with FHA. At the end of the day, the difference between FHA and conventional is FHA is going to allow you to have a little bit more blemish on your credit. You can be a little bit more overextended on your debt. And sometimes life happens. And at the end of the day, though, when a seller is looking at the terms, money is money. And if it is the best offer for their client and the home is in good shape, then yes, FHA should be considered just as much as conventional.
Well, I think you're 100% correct on that. But the caveat to all this is my lending team, is Harvey going to pick up the phone?
For sure.
And is he going to sell the client as hard as I'm selling the client?
Yes.
Is he going to take that FHA and say, hey, we've done all our homework. We've been here for years. All I do is FHA. All I do is this type of work. I do conventionals. You know who we are. This is a guaranteed close. We're going to see you at the table. There's nothing wrong with it. That just raises your chances of having that chosen, because you're dealing with somebody who's very credible. You know what I mean? And is local.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on that, because that is exactly, if your lender is not having those kind of conversations, you need to you have to reevaluate
crazy.
the relationship, because you can't sound like Ben Stein talking about a clear eye, dry eye commercial, right? You got to be out there and really just make sure that the terms and your buyer are out there as they should be, because if our name's on that piece of paper, we know that we're going to be closing. And you can have a very strong FHA buyer, and it's all about that communication. And when you don't have that alliance between the lender and the real estate agent, sometimes it isn't going to work out in that buyer's favor. So that's why you have buyers that are out here looking for 6 and 7 months. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why is this person not under contract? Because I have FHA, I have VA, we have concessions, we have under asking. I have a plethora of different varieties of loans in my pipeline. Why? Because when my name's on that piece of paper and I'm reaching out to that listing agent, they know darn well that I'm going to close that transaction. And if it's bumpy, I'm going to communicate that, but it's all about that confidence and getting to the finish line.
We're going to take your calls here if you're thinking about selling your house or becoming a home buyer, or if you think you might be approved but you haven't sent your documents in and you're really not sure, if you haven't had deeper conversations about all the facets of home ownership, reach out to us again right here live in the studio, 248-539-9797. We'll take your calls all morning long here up until 10 o'clock. Then, of course, Pat Caputo comes on. Tons of sports here on 97.1 The Ticket. We had the Tigers dropping one last night, but don't worry, they'll be back this afternoon to beat up on the White Sox. Cameron, no doubt, first-time home buyers. They don't know about interest rates as much because they know that rent is gone through the ceiling. Yeah. They don't want to rent anymore. They're building families again. We've already talked about the highest group of amount of population is 27 to 34-year-olds. Their families are getting married. They want a piece of this American dream. They want the equity. And the folks that bought 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe their cousins, uncles, or someone unqualified said, wait, you're overpaying. Now they're sitting on $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of equity. First-time home buyers, trust us, they want to get a house, and you need to do everything you can to get yourself set up.
Yeah, if you're interested or looking for a home and you're going to be a first-time home buyer, let me tell you this piece of advice right now. Rent is going up. Mm-hmm. Homes next year are going up and the year after are going up. Inventory is shrinking, right? So there's no time like the present. I'm just being honest. Right now is the time to go out and shop. Pay 100% interest with rent or pay 7% interest with a mortgage that you can refi in the near future should you need to. You have options with buying. You don't have options. I tell my people this, when you're buying a home, you're getting a bank account, okay?
Yeah.
That home is raising in value and you're paying yourself equity into that house. And that's how we upgrade and that's how we build generational wealth. You're having a family, you can leave a house to them and move on to another house. That money belongs to you. It sits there, it grows. It's like gardening.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah.
Becky, with that being said, too, again, even the folks that we got mortgages for 4 or 5 years ago, they don't even want to sell that house. They want to upgrade to a bigger house now. They've had another child on the way, whatever their situation is. They had a taste of home ownership. They look at their house value and they're like, wait a minute, I don't even want to sell it now. I'll rent it out because I can even make money doing that. So the proof is right there in the pudding that home ownership is something that you have to dive into. And it's already 9/11 here in Metro Detroit. Again, it's our first Saturday of the month. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. We'll be back. Alrighty, we are back here. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, equal housing lender. Yeah, we're a top 10 lender all around the United States. We'll get into some vacation homes. We'll get into that up north vibe because there's no doubt this summer is really killing it. Mm-hmm. And I already getting those phone calls like, hey, Harvey, I'm thinking about that second home, that vacation home. What do I need to do to get myself all set up for it? Becky, home ownership is just booming. It was before the pandemic. It's just the way things are. It's like, as Cameron mentioned, what a way to really have generational wealth. Have something that you're building equity at your own bank account.
I mean, there's a lot of that even happening right now when you're talking about the generational wealth. There's a lot of house swapping right now. Yeah. I have quite a few transactions where like, and it adds to that lack of inventory, right? Where it's like grandma's selling her house, she's going into retirement home, then, the grandkids are buying grandma's house and mom's buying someone else's house, like all within the family. So there's a lot of that house swapping right now because people are trying to find different ways to, get that inventory and get their foot in the door. And, in those situations, we're definitely, saying it's still important to get a transaction coordinator involved, even though you're, kind of maybe doing with some family. But at the end of the day, it is all about building your wealth, like you're talking about. When you are paying $1,200 in rent, guess what? That is not that's not $24,000 at the end of the year that went into your pocket. That's going into someone else's pocket at the end of the year. Versus if you're to stack up that $1,200 times 12, put it on a table, that is real tangible money that is going into your equity when you do own that home. And it's, people are like, oh, marry the house, date the rate. No, let's talk about divorcing rent. There is a time and a place where rent does make sense. Renting makes sense. And we're not here to say everyone needs to be buying right now, because if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But you need to have the conversation, because getting a mortgage is a very big deal. And you have to have your ducks in a row, because as you're going to say right now, you cannot go looking for houses and then apply for a mortgage, because that's when you're going to set yourself up for failure.
It's heartbreak more than failure.
Right. I call it hungry eye syndrome.
No, it is. It's heartbreak. But even let me piggyback off that just a little bit. Let's talk about life events.
Yeah.
Life events are serious. Your daughter's about to get married, okay? And we're going in on a big wedding. Where can you pull an extra $50,000 from?
Right.
Equity line of credit.
We get those calls.
You get those calls. There's a life event going on. That's not going to work trying to pull out of an apartment. You know what I mean? Your home can be your saving grace to any type of medical emergencies, families that are growing, weddings. It is a reserve bank account for emergencies, and it's generational wealth. So you have options when doing that. You don't have options if you're consistently to rent, and your landlord's kids are going to the most fantastic college in school.
So I have this, I have a first-time home buyer, right? And she's been renting, and she just, in one of those situations where she just thought that opportunity was always missing her. But a part of that was she didn't meet me. She didn't have a conversation with me. So she's been renting for 30 plus years. I finally get in a room with her, coincidentally, divine intervention. And here we are having this conversation. And I was finally able to plant the seed that she deserves her own home. And even after we had those conversations, she still, it's been a couple months, we talk, and, she still had to believe it in herself. So I just coincidentally followed up as promised, like I always do. And she answers the phone as she's locked out of her apartment complex because the door was somehow shut, and she's waiting on the maintenance man. And I was like, listen, I go, if this is not divine intervention on the phone one more time with you, letting you know that it is time to no longer get locked out of your apartment, I don't know what is. And it all just starts with a conversation. But people have to also believe that they deserve that opportunity for themselves.
All right. So you're finally in the car, Cameron. Let's talk about this inventory situation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about if you're in the car with your agent and you're going to see 2 or 3 or 4 houses that day, you need to be ready to make an offer. And you need to have the confidence, and you need to have some education behind you, because, again, we live in Michigan, and some of these houses might need a little TLC. Let's just talk about that a little bit, about that confidence where you're like, yes, Cameron, this is going to work for my family. How do I make this house? Again, it's an older home. Again, a lot of the homes are older out there.
Yeah.
How do I make this starter home work for me?
Sure. I think the first thing to do is, as an agent, it's your responsibility to educate buyers. You can't just open a door and have their imagination run wild of, oh, yeah, I'm going to ask them to redo the floors, and I want them new windows, and I want, we're buying a used home.
Yeah.
The majority of the time, we're buying a used home.
Yeah.
In a competitive market, like, hey, listen, look it through the home, and if you like it, this is what you can expect from a used home. This is what you can expect from an inspection. 3 out of 5 homes in Michigan may have mold in the attic. Don't worry about it. I know it's the M word, but it's fine. It's completely treatable. These are normal things.
Right.
You have to take the paranoia away, and you have to let them know what you're purchasing. We're looking for health and safety features, and we're looking for making sure it's a livable home. We're not looking for loose doorknobs here. That's not a deal breaker, and that's not a negotiation piece.
And
you know what I mean?
Grab a listing, when you grab a listing, you go to the house. I mean, this is why it's so important to have a professional real estate agent. There's a huge difference. Someone who's not really doing the business, we know, because we hear the bad things come out of their mouth. If you're listing that house, you can point out, look, we might be able to get more money and present a little bit better property here if we just clean up this, if we paint this wall, if we take a look at the attic. Maybe we want to blow in another 12 inches of insulation. Maybe there's some minor repairs that you can do to get more money out of your house as a qualified listing agent.
Oh, well, I pre-inspect most of my homes just to make sure we get top dollar. There is no negotiations with my listings. Everything's transparent and everything is right in front of you, and you're paying for what you're getting, because the homes that I work with, I mean, they're going to be pristine. There's not going to be any surprises.
Yeah.
They're going to be transparent right in front of you, and you're getting a quality home. So when I tell my clients, hey, there's not going to be any negotiations during the inspection. We've got it all here. All these major concerns, we take care of them. Then we go to the market, and basically, you might get somebody who doesn't even want to do an inspection, and that's the goal.
Yeah, it's all about the presentation. And like, even when you brought up the mold, right? We live in Michigan. Water has seeped in basements from the beginning of time. It does happen. And as long as you're addressing it ahead of time, you're gonna get past it. But you can't close your eyes to mold that you can see visibly on a wall, whether it's an FHA,
100%.
VA, or conventional. Nor would any appraiser going out there, nor is an agent or a selling agent. You have to disclose those things because you can visibly see it. So whether you did a pass-fail inspection or not, an appraiser has a right, whether it's conventional or not, to flag mold and have it be addressed, because that is a health and safety concern no matter what. But to that point, as long as that discussion and you're having those conversations ahead of time, it should not be a 5-alarm dramatic thing. Let's just clean it up, fix it, and move on, especially if you're already getting concessions for it anyway because it was already disclosed.
If you weren't smart enough to have it addressed ahead of time, okay, well, now it could be an issue
Right.
as the transaction's going on.
Yes.
248-539-9797. We're going to go to caller Rob. Good morning, Rob. You're live on the ticket.
Hey, good morning.
What's happening?
I'm doing a little window shopping because my wife in the next couple of years wants to relocate back up to northern Michigan, up where our son is.
Yay.
And the question I have is, I'm looking at some of these houses that are being listed now, and they sold back in, say, 2021, 2022 for $350,000 or so. And now I'm seeing the same houses listed, and they're asking, $690,000, $750,000. Is the market really expanding that much because of, quote, this home shortage, or are we just looking at people who want to try to, flip and get rich?
Well, it can honestly go both ways. So here, I'll tell you this one thing, okay? It's the majority of the time, unless you're paying cash, the majority of the time, it's not your money, right? This is the bank's money, okay? So you're not really going to get ripped off, even though it is $600,000. In the back of your head, is it worth it? Is it worth it? If the appraiser goes out there and says, yes, it's worth it, and the bank stands behind the $600,000 sale, okay, and the lender does too, and it's all finalized, well, guess what? You got market value for that property. You're not being ripped off. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So understand there are insurances behind you letting you know that the market value for this property is worth it. Now, could that be driven up from the previous sales and the market going up in that area from other sales? Yes, it can. But rest assured, you're purchasing a $600,000 home, and if that market keeps rising, well, you're at the tail end of it. But in the future, your home keeps rising as well, too.
Anything on the water, Rob, it's been gangbusters. And I mean, we're seeing it all across the United States, not only here in Michigan. We got so many people that come up, you don't even realize it. They're coming up from Kentucky. Michigan is a destination.
Yep.
And, you just, even in my backyard, it used to be the Detroiters would come up to the Cass Lake area in Metro Detroit to enjoy these long weekends or get away in the summertime in Oakland County. I mean, that was a big hike back in the 40s and the 30s.
Yeah.
And before then, now they're willing to drive an extra 4 or 5 hours. There's no doubt that families that have bought in the last 4 or 5 years are sitting on a ton of equity. Boy, I did some families on Higgins and Houghton Lake. They call me up all the time.
You can't even get a house on Higgins Lake right now. You just cannot. My friends of mine bought a house on Higgins Lake. It's well worth what they paid for it. And to your point, what is the price point on Legacy? What is the price point on the family, like the memories that you guys are trying to make with, because with a lake property? Because most people, when they're buying these lake properties, there's a reason why they're few and far and hard to come by, is because they're holding on to them, because they are left and they pass down from family to family to family.
They grow in price.
A lot of these that we're looking at are not lake properties, and what they are I look at the historical value through various, sites out there, homes that for the last 10, 15, and, in the $250,000 to, say, $400,000 range. And all of a sudden, in the last 2 years, there's a 170% increase in the value of that house. I just don't see how in 2 years that property has increased 170%.
I feel what you're saying. I mean, there is a difference between price and value, right? What are you willing to pay for it versus what is it truly worth? And at the end of the day, when you're, if you're getting financing on this, we only lend based off the appraisal. So if someone is listing this house for $650 and it's only appraising for $5, well, then you have to evaluate, do you want it that much where you're going to pay $150,000 over asking? Probably not, right? So then you can renegotiate that based off what the real value is, so you are getting the fair market value, like Cameron was mentioning.
Rob, it's a great call, because I like all this other stuff. My mind's blown away when I talk to a couple relatives that have these vacation homes. They're renting them out for $5,000 or $7,000 a week in the summer. Now, in the wintertime, like you said, this one's not even on the water you're looking at. You got the snowmobilers out there. You got the families that want to be closer to the ski lodge. Mm-hmm. You got the hunter community. Yeah. But if you bring 5 couples up there to your house in the winter and they're snowmobilers, they're willing to pay $4,000, $5,000 a week to be close to that trail, and you split it up between 4 or 5 families. It's extremely affordable. There's really no hotels out there, and that's not a lot of fun.
If you run AirDNA and check what they're actually going for in that area, it will blow your mind.
Yeah, that's where there's some additional value there. Rob, I love the conversation. Yeah. I hope you can get it together where you say, you know what, I'm going to make the move and buy one of these. You say, what is your price range now, Rob?
Well, I'm going to be probably somewhere between the 450 and 650 range.
Yeah.
What cities are you looking in?
We're looking anywhere. My son has his places. He's got 30 acres of a farm over near Rapid City, and we're looking anywhere from Elk Rapids north to Cowayden, all the way over towards Bear Lake.
Yeah, man, that's just great. It's God's country up there. There's no doubt that I think if you can get your hands on something and you find value, that not only would your family enjoy it, which you can never put a dollar amount on that.
The Hardcore Mortgage Show's also going to come and visit you.
Yeah,
on that 30 acres. We'll just have a live show on there.
But even friends and family, even if you don't go with the official Airbnbs
sure.
and renting them out that way, you can do them. You're on your own too. You reach out to one of these snowmobile communities, and all these people, they want to rent these houses. And again, like you mentioned, Cameron, the hunters want a piece of it too. Rob, it's great stuff, man. We'll follow up with you.
One more thing. One more thing. I mean, with what we, listening to the show over the years, we took a lot of the knowledge from your show. And my son, he bought his 30-acre farm when he was 24 years old.
Yes, I love that
guy.
Thank you.
That guy.
Wow.
Yes, and thank you for being a listener of our show, and we appreciate that we actually were able to have some positive influence on your son, because 24 to be to have that piece of property, I mean, that's huge. I mean, sometimes people are buying their houses for the first time at 30, so to be 24 years old and have that kind of real estate, good for you.
Good for him, man. 248-539-9797. It's the fastest show in America. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We'll be right back. Alrighty, we are rocking the streets of Detroit. Yeah, that Grand Prix down there if you want to check it out. So much to do in Metro Detroit. This is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. I'm Harvey Freed. She's Becky Alley. Our special guest, Cameron Boutros.
Hello.
Anthony John, real estate, luxury real estate team. What a great, I love you guys. You know what I love about you guys the most is the educational thing. You guys are educated. You got a group of hardworking people. We started the year off with all the team leaders.
That was a great show. I mean,
that was
you
an
definitely,
awesome show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely kicked it off the right way. But what I want to piggyback what Harvey's saying is you guys put your money where your mouth is.
Yes, we do.
You say what you mean what you say, and you follow up with intentional action, whether it is your buyers, your sellers, the education piece, the promotions that you guys only get behind the things that you guys really believe in. You're not just the smoke and mirrors. So my hat's off to you guys because there's a lot of noise out there and there's a lot of pretenders, and this is not a business right now in this market. This is skills based, and you cannot fake it till you make it because you're going to be exploited.
We can't, and brand recognition is so fragile.
Yeah.
We do something wrong, the entire world is going to know. We do something right, maybe 10, 20 people will know.
Isn't that a shame? Because it's so true. That really is true.
Correct. So our brand, our image, everything is so fragile that we do. We might have some bumps in the road here and there, but overall, we need to do what's right for people.
All right,
and that's the only way we can do it.
Oh, you guys run the straight path, no doubt about that. All right, let's do a little bit of homework here. Mr. rates have been bumped up to 6 5/8. That's okay. That's still an unbelievable interest rate. Again, it's lower if you don't want the down payment assistance. There's plenty of down payment assistance programs out there. MSHDA, of course, we mentioned it. Michigan State Housing Development Authority, first-time homeowners up to $224,500 purchase price, Becky. Back-end ratios not to exceed 45%. Call us for all the details because, Becky, you and I know of a whole bunch. We're not going to give all the secrets away. You need to call us at Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll tell you about some other down payment assistance programs, but you got to get the applications in, and you got to get in front of this. This isn't like get in the car, I'm going to click a button, call a real estate agent. We'll get you set up with the right people, but you need that mortgage set up so you can make that strong offer.
Getting a mortgage is a big deal, and you need to treat it as such. And you can't get a mortgage without having any money in the bank. You do have to have some skin in the game. Now, what Cameron was mentioning is 90% of, or majority of the time, we are the bank is the majority of the majority investor. So if you are in a position where you're a first-time home buyer, or maybe you're not a first-time home buyer, but one of these programs will suit you, you're talking you could get up to $25,000 in some situations, $10,000 in the majority of money to help you with your down payment to get you where you're going. That is a beautiful thing, but it doesn't meet everyone qualifies that. You have to have the conversations. But with MSHDA, what's cool, they made some different announcements where right now every zip code in Michigan is going to be $10,000. If you're in a targeted area, which would be like, let's just say in the Downriver area would be like Lincoln Park, Hazel Park, Ecor, something like that. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. You could be in Oakland County and in Royal Oak, and you could be a repeat buyer and get $10,000. Oh, and by the way, your spouse no longer has to credit qualify with you.
Right
just
on.
the
That's
income.
key. Yeah,
yep.
that's
So
key.
they've made adjustments because they're recognizing that the people that are occupying the homes are getting ran over by the investors, the step-up buyers, and the people that are coming in from the outside. So when I say people coming from the outside, it is your California investors, your Florida investors, recognizing that Michigan and the Metro Detroit area is very affordable. And they want people occupying these homes more than renting because we already know rent is out of control.
It's so dry out there, but this is where the fresh water is. Definitely. Michigan has a huge future. There's so much going on here. Mm-hmm. We have too much to offer, and they're not building, Cameron. We see that builder confidence in the market. Newly built single-family homes in May rose 5 points. Builder confidence is back up. It's huge, but they're not building 200 to 250 houses anymore.
No. So builders also stand a form of risk, right? Mm-hmm. Interest rates go up. They've purchased when materials were expensive, labor is expensive, and now interest rates are going up. And, people believe, high interest rates, we're going to get a deal with builders. Well, maybe not. You know what I mean? But those 300,000, 400,000, 200,000, those you may have to go with a flipper, somebody who's going to renovate a home okay, to make it look new, but it won't be on the builder's side.
Right.
A little bit of a constraint there, and it did scare away some home buyers, maybe for 30 days.
Maybe.
And
It was like 2 weeks, maybe.
And we were pleading with folks. We were doing that shows, the after Thanksgiving shows throughout the new year, and we were pleading with some folks. We said, look, you're a first-time home buyer. There's this window of opportunity. This isn't made up. We've been on the air for 23 years giving this kind of information out, and there's that window of opportunity where you could come in at asking price and probably win that offer. Those days went by I'm going to say January 15th.
Yeah.
Already in the new year, we saw the multiple bids. And again, we're reaching out. This is how you do it. There's a way to do it and a way not to do things. You can't have the agent who hasn't been in the game. You got to be in this game every day. Some of the agents are new, but they're extremely qualified and smart. Some people have been around for a long time and they just don't have the skills. And they're either afraid to have those difficult conversations. Becky, we talk about it, that difficult conversation. Have it now. Get going in that right direction.
You got to go where the ball is going. You got to skate where the puck is going, not where it was. And if you kind of run back the receipts, right, on us, we're always looking down the road. We are so far ahead of the market because we're always looking down the road because this is what we do for a living. We have over 30 years, in the business. I've been in the business 20 years myself. I mean, we've seen the tough markets. And a part of the issue is people don't know how to have the conversations, like you said, the curious conversations. What is the pain points? Where the curiosity? Why is the buyer needing to buy? Why is the seller needing to sell? And if something goes wrong, let's just say there's mold in the basement, that is not the end of the world. It's all about just having the right conversations because at the end of the day, if we have a tough file, and I'm taking this first-time home buyer with she's got 4 kids, she's single mom, she never thought she could ever buy a house again. If I have to ask you for a million things for the underwriter, because it's such a shade of gray, we get all that in, and then the underwriter wants a million more conditions, you're not going to get them because it's hard? No, we are. Because we're in the mud with you, we're in the trenches with you, we are shoulder to shoulder, and it is nothing but the best of the best with us when we are walking shoulder to shoulder with you to get you to that finish line because that means something to us.
Yeah. So let me say something about that. Getting an agent who's a yes man and just agrees with you to make you feel confident as a buyer is not what you want. Okay. You want an agent that educates. So if you're freaking out about mold in the basement or something's not correct, an educated and a guiding realtor will tell you what the truth is. Yeah. And whether it kills the deal or not, you have to hear it. That part doesn't matter. You have to hear what's going on and you need to make your own choice. Now, I will tell you what's going on. Remediation for this is $1,100. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be warranted. You're going to get a piece of paper. Are you willing to lose this home over $1,100? Sure. How much do you love it? The confidence and knowledge of your realtor will change everything. And if I would say, yeah, you know what, you're right. Oh, I want to keep them comfortable. I don't want them to be upset. Yeah. Let's just go find another house. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my client's time. They're frustrated and there's no houses out there. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing anybody any service by saying that.
I love that you said that. Okay, so just yesterday I had a conversation. I literally used the words, I'm not going to be a yes ma'am. So what happened was clients called me. They've already been through the ringer. They went under contract on another house, has nothing to do with me, in April. And they were trying to do an FHA transaction when the FHA was not approved by this condo association.
Right.
So now they're calling me because they're like, we don't know what to do. We heard you, you're recommended. And they're like, can you help us right now? And I said, I can't answer that question. I go, because I haven't seen your credit. I don't know what your finances are. I don't know if we can change this to conventional. I'm not here to be a yes, ma'am. I'm here to tell you what the real truth is. And they're like, and I was like, how do you feel about that? And then they said, well, that's not the answer we wanted to hear.
It's credibility.
And I'm like, well, I don't know what you wanted me to say other than I can't answer these questions because I don't even know what your credit score is. I don't know what you guys have in the bank. And I don't know. Maybe I can take this conventional, but you have to trust me because you've already been kicking down this can down the road for far too many months. So whether it's this house and we move on or it's the next one, I promise you we're going to have a much smoother ride this time.
All right, a couple things I'm going to address here. 248-539-9797. Investors out there, yes, I had some gentleman come to me and he had bought a house a few years back, and sure enough, he just bought his first 2-unit property. So congratulations No names out there, but he's got a great 2-unit property. There's already people in there. He's going to increase the rent on them, just like every other landlord's going to do, but he's going to make the place a little bit nicer and a little bit better. And it could be more affordable at the end of the day for these poor renters out there because they need to get a piece of home ownership. But if they can't, that's okay. They're willing to pay rent. He's going to fix up the home, re-insulate it, and do some energy efficient things that'll really benefit families. Again, we're talking about housing here. This isn't a car. This isn't going to be something you stock away in your driveway. You pull out on Woodward once a year or something like that. This is home ownership. Yeah. This is a chance at a piece of the American pie.
It's tangible, right? So if you're trying to invest in something, right? If you want to buy $1 million in stock, you need $1 million. Straight up.
Yep.
If you want to buy $1 million in real estate, what do you need? Maybe like you could get away with $200,000 depending on the minimum investments. You know, you could have $500,000 invested and get $1 million in real estate. The reality is that the amount that you have to invest in real estate is nominal to get the returns that you're looking for. And it's about building that overall investment portfolio, whether it's real estate. And I gave you that little sheet. You don't go against the champ. You're looking at appreciating markets, but more so than ever.
Consistently appreciating. And I want to let tenants know, when it comes to investors purchasing homes, okay, this is their non-homestead. Oh, do you know what that means? And if you don't know what that means they're going to be paying an additional 30 to 35% extra in taxes and property tax. And where is that going to go? Straight to your rent. Your rent is going to go up. Warren, notorious for taxes. I mean, their non-homestead taxes in Warren are crazy. Mm-hmm. Roseville, Fraser, they're all going up. So I know investors are looking over there. And if you're going to rent in those areas, expect rent to go up every time. Invest in yourself. Invest in your hard work and take your money and invest it in your home and watch it grow faster than most accounts.
For sure.
All righty. The show is flying by this morning, just like those speedy cars down there on Jefferson today. Definitely go check out the Detroit Grand Prix. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We've got another 20 minutes or so of helping you with the American dream. Home ownership at its best. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, we are back live in the studio. Cameron Boutros joins us from the Anthony John Luxury Real Estate Team, of course. They got that huge office on Stevenson Highway. They got a ton of great agents in there. Man, I like coming in there. Next time, have some hot coffee for me if I come and see you this week. Would you please?
You know what? I got everything for you when you come in there. If you want the special cabinet.
I'll show you that. I need the key to that. But you guys bring, obviously, you guys bring a lot of great quality to this real estate market here. We have in Southeast Michigan, across really Michigan. I always tell folks, we have some of the sharpest agents here in Michigan. Why? Because when I go down to Florida, I sort of shake my head sometimes. Little old-fashioned, not the energy, not the knowledge. And that's what we're really telling people. Seek that knowledge, because that's the huge thing about the confidence, Becky.
For sure. I mean, yeah, you could have someone that has 2 years experience, or you could have someone that has 20 years experience, but guess what? The 20-year person is out of touch and they have no idea what's happening in the market, right? Sometimes time is not your best friend. You have to be working with the people that have boots on the ground, that are doing it every day, living, breathing it, because they're the ones that are going to know, they're going to be going where the ball's thrown. That's for sure.
All right. We know the inventory situation's down. John, you're calling us about Livingston County, one of the great counties out there that's always been growing. What's going out there, John?
Hi, how we doing?
Fantastic. What do you got?
Good. Yeah, so just kind of calling, you touched on the inventory piece, and it just seems like, I'm an investor, actually looking to buy a home. Was kind of waiting for things to kind of settle down with interest rates and things like that. But when I'm looking out there, price points for anybody if you're looking in a certain sector of the market, and this is where I kind of want your input on it, in the different markets you have, like the lower end of the market, if you will, that seems to be anything that's affordable, pretty hot going, anything that's in the middle piece where you got move-up buyers. And then it seems like the stuff that's sitting, where you can potentially get a deal, is the higher end luxury. So I wanted you guys to kind of, opine about that, see what your thoughts are.
Well, it depends how long you've been an investor for and what your portfolio looks like. Okay. In this market, I have told investors to be at market value for these purchases, because the way the values of home have been increasing, your return, is coming back a lot faster than what most people think. It's going to be there. Okay. Development is going on everywhere. Your rent is going up. Your value is going up. You feel like most investors that I talk with are always feeling that they're overpaying right now, but they're really not. They're actually following the rise of the market. And if they stick it out and they wait a little bit for that return to start coming back, they're going to see a lot more value and more.
Cameron, what about John? I like what you said out there. So our home. Well, let me go ahead and verify this. Yeah. What's going on with that luxury market? Let's go up to about 650 plus. Are those homes still on the market? I heard, there's multiple bids.
There is some multiple bids. All right. So there's two class of people that I've been dealing with. Okay. So there are a lot of 650 and 700, and these folks, all right, they are pay attention to the market, what's going on in stocks. Most of their funds are with financial. All right, well, they're sitting tight because they're not budging. And then we have the high-end engineers, we have high-grade professionals, okay, and they're out there bidding because their work class is completely different than some of the investors. So it's not as aggressive as it was, but when they are coming in, they're coming in strong because they know inventory is light.
Becky, I've had some younger group clients, in their 30s, just starting their families off. They're not buying starter homes. These folks, they bought $700,000 houses, $800,000 houses. They're like, this is where I'm going to live. I don't need to go hang out at the cool dinner joints and spend all this money on dinner. I'd rather put it into something that I'm going to get my money back.
That's true. I mean, you have a lot of the buyers right now that are coming right out the gate, and they are coming in strong. They're not doing that starter home. Like you said, they're going right from, they're taking a little bit longer to buy their first home. They're buying it a little bit in their 30s. They finished college. They did the things because that's what they wanted to do. They stayed home a little bit. They rented maybe a little bit longer than they wanted to. But guess what? They're coming out and their guns are blazing because they're looking for their forever home a little bit.
You know who they can negotiate with? Builders who are building $700,000 home. There is a huge negotiation piece there. While it's a spec home, and you have a $700,000 buyer, okay, you can work magic with a builder right now.
John, what are you seeing out there? I'll let you get last words on this, John.
Yeah. Well, what I'm seeing, and this from my personal perspective, is that when you're looking at that, mid-tier, just before luxury homes, if you will, that demand is still higher than supply. So you are getting, for the really nice houses, for layman's terms, you're getting multiple offers, but there are some ones that need a little bit of work where hey, there's maybe some negotiability here. My question is on top of that, and I'll leave you guys with this thought, is if interest rates, kind of jumping up to 7, just under now, is that going to cause a bit of that demand to pull back, especially going into the second half of the year into the fall, where there's a bit more opportunity?
No, my answer
no.
to that is going to be no, because to that point, people are seeing the opportunity because as the interest rates might have crept up a little bit, so rent is out of control right now.
Out of
And
control.
it's
That's
really-
what's driving it.
Okay.
Yep. And so people are understanding now that rent is going to be out of control of what I can get into this house. I can control my payment. I know what my payment is. And when the rates eventually pull back, because they will, we just don't know exactly when, because we've seen this cycle time and time again. You refinance now, you have your payment in line, but it's something that you're investing in yourself. So the interest rates have not slowed down this market, and anyone that is in this market that's busy, the real estate agents, ones that are worth their salt, they have not missed any opportunity to get their buyers into the right homes.
John, thanks for joining us on the show. I really appreciate the phone call and your input. Good luck on your housing search. And of course, always give us a call, Capital Mortgage Funding. We're there every day. You can find us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll get you set up with Cameron Boutros and all these great real estate agents across Southeast Michigan. That's the key, building your real estate team. Again, 248-539-9797. A lot going on. The Fed's going to meet again. I think it's June 14th. 15th, or so. I have it written down here somewhere. There are some speculations that the Fed funds rate, which doesn't have a direct correlation to mortgage rates, some are saying there could be one more little quarter bump. Some are saying maybe not this time. We don't know. There's a lot going on. We're into an election year coming up next year. So there's a lot going on in the economy. Boy, this AI is starting to scare a lot of people away too, Becky.
I mean, everyone is so reactionary. You just kind of you have to let it, they threw enough rocks in the pond. I feel like they need to let it see where it's rippling and what's happening. But to that point, we take a lot of those calls like, hey, I want to buy the second investment property. Hey, I need to make this, make my home a little bit better. I want to put in a pool. Do you guys do home equity lines? I'm like, we can, but that's really not our forte. But guess what? You're going to call and you're going to hear a double-digit number if you're trying to get these home equity lines, because that is directly affected by the Fed and these interest rate hikes. It's affecting your short-term lending. It's affecting your credit cards, your student loans, your car loans. Home equity line of credit is not exactly affecting the mortgage rates directly.
I'm glad you brought it up. Let's just do a little bit of that backtracking there. Cash out refinancing. Yeah, different ways that you can use your mortgage to maybe pay off something bad. What would be bad? A high interest rate on credit cards.
Well, people don't even bat an eyelash yet. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to pay this 6% interest rate on a mortgage, but I'm going to pay 30% on my credit card that I maxed out because I'm not financially responsible. I don't know. Things happen, right? And people just don't even hesitate to pay that credit card interest, but they clench their pearls over a 6.5 interest rate. It always blows my mind.
It's the living experience. You don't know what you don't know.
True.
You know what I mean? You don't know that you have access to additional funds, out of sight, out of mind. They only look what's on their bank account. They don't know the additional wealth that they're building in a home. And once you do know, then everything changes.
There's so many killers out there, like folks that might even owe the IRS some money. I mean, get that done. I mean, that balance doesn't go down. A little shout out to Lawrence Levy out there, levying us out. They definitely will show you ways to get that tax problem fixed up. But I'll tell you, if you've got the equity, if you can figure out a better path and get smarter people in your life, using that equity to pay off that IRS tax lien that's haunting you. Yeah. Get rid of that kind of stuff, that toxic debt out there that you definitely want to get rid of.
Yeah, don't use the house as a piggy bank, but every situation is it's situational, and it could make sense for you. I have a cash out refinance right now that's happening, and we're saving the person $500 a month because they are overextended. They helped their kids go to college. They co-signed for one too many cars for their kids, and they didn't realize how that was affecting them buying a house in the future. So all these things need just to be talked out, and you need to get with someone that cares enough to really talk it out with you.
That's got to be your new T-shirt, by the way. Capital Mortgage Funding, because life happens.
Life does happen, right? Yeah. Hey, look, Cameron, you might have to overbid on a house. We've seen it. We don't want to tell people to reach into the retirement. Again, a little shout out there to Rick Bloom and other people, financial experts who have talked about these things. You want to build savings for your future. Yes. You want that to grow. But housing values are really growing also. So you can pay your 401k back. Maybe if you have $15,000 to $25,000, you're just starting out, maybe you need to reach in there. It could be the position you need to put yourself in to win that offer. Maybe you need to free up a little bit of extra money.
That's funny that you said that. That's how we just got this
Okay, there you go.
this new property. It's a big house too. We're looking over the $600,000 mark, and we did that. Okay, but I also need the confidence, not just me, because I'm not a financial person. You can't just take your realtor's word for it. I need you to back me up. I need you to say, you know what, your realtor is right.
Yeah.
You can take out of your 401k, and when you refi, you can pull that money out of the house and dump it back in your 401k if you want. That option is there for you. When you own a home, you have options. When you don't, you don't. You know, so that's where a partnership like this really brings knowledge and confidence to a buyer.
Right.
Yeah, you can't just undermine each other, to that point, right? We're going to stay in our lane, you're going to stay in your lane, but that is a part of that partnership. And it's not like, I'm going to throw the real estate agent under the bus just because the client is upset and I don't want to make them upset too. No, we have to be a united front because they hired us and they put us in that position to be a part of their team for a reason. And when you are in line with a great real estate agent, a great lender, you have to be a united front and help the buyer across the finish line and have those tough conversations.
I'll stretch it out. CPAs. Go have lunch with your CPA. Go have lunch with your financial advisor. Buy them the lunch. Pick their brain a little bit. Try to put a strategy together that's going to help your family in the long run. We're not talking about you're going to buy and flip a house. It's going to be a little bit, you might make money doing that, but if you're talking about putting a roof over your family's head, and Cameron, I want to circle back because families is what it's all about. You're a family guy. People want to work with family people like you. You're building your family. You're building that community. The kids go to school in the neighborhood. That's all the great stuff about home ownership.
It is, and it's a sensitive topic to me because I came to America in 2010. So I moved here in 2010. I remember my agent who sold me a home. I remember his name to this day. And the reason for that is he did right by me. Mm-hmm. I was lost. I was confused. I didn't understand the way you purchase a home in America. I came from another country. So I took that with me, and I said, anybody who's buying a first home, I know what they're going through, and I want to give them that sense of security and sense of calm that, hey, I got this. I work with people who got this. There's no question marks out there. We're going to take care of you.
I love that because, most people, the pain points is, well, it's either you're running for pleasure, you're running away from pain, right? And you had a great experience, so now you know what that looks like, and you don't want to ever lead anyone astray outside of what your experience was. Just like if someone has bad experience, they're like, I want nothing to do with that. I'm going to go complete opposite.
All right, that music says we got to wrap it up here. And another thanks to Cameron Boutros, Anthony John, Luxury Real Estate Team. You're awesome, Cameron.
Thank you.
I love you, Betty. I love you. We don't even do that much business. We're going to start doing.
We're going to do a lot of business.
Do some more
You're
business.
doing all the business.
And go check out Becky Ailey. She's all around Ferndale and up and down Woodward
today. We'll be there from 11 or so, 2 to 8 today.
All right.
9 Mile, Ferndale. Come check me out.
There
check
you
us
go.
out.
All right. For Harvey Freed, Becky Ailey, that's me, and Cameron Boutros, we're going to check you guys out next Saturday. Keep it here. We see Pat Caputo outside. He'll talk Lions, baseball, maybe some IndyCar racing downtown. We'll catch you guys next Saturday.